Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben. Wait. Say that again.
I'm your co-host, Carissa.
She says it so well. I have her do it twice every single day, and not because of the mute switch. But everyone, welcome to the program. Carissa, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not bad. And looking forward to today's program. So everyone out there, you can get ready for, computer and technology news. And this is where we talk about all the recent events, current events, any new products, anything like that. You can find it all right there, either at our website, computeramerica.com, social media after the fact, and of course the show notes, as well as the podcast and articles and more. So, yada, yada, yada. I think that's about. One announcement we should make, though, Carissa, is that on Monday there will be no Computer America because the network is shut down. So we don't do a show on Labor Day. We hope that everyone out there has a great long weekend. But we'll be back with you on Tuesday. So Carissa, take Monday off just for you.
Sweet.
Perfect. Thanks. No problem. Anytime. Every year I'll do that for you. But everyone, Monday no show, but if you want to tune in Tuesday through Friday, there will be shows all day that week. So with that being said, I think that's about it. And Carissa, unless you have anything else, I think we're ready for computer and technology news.
I think I'm ready.
Perfect. And of course, as always, brought to you by Computer America. So everyone, let's go ahead and talk about, looking here, we have a ton of topics to discuss here, and I picked up a couple. This one is something that we have talked about on the show before, and I wish that it was a topic that, just really wasn't a thing anymore, because it's kind of egregious what these companies are doing to, I guess, kind of the American people. But check this one out here. This is from Fast Company, and it's about an old, archaic programming language. If any of you out there got your start in computers back in, even before the early 80s, in the 70s, not many people were programming in the 70s. But if you did, then you know about the programming language called COBOL. And if Craig were here, he could tell you the exact definition of COBOL and what it stands for. Actually, I found it here in the article. Common business-oriented language. COBOL, so common, C-O, business-oriented, B-O-L language. So not something that was very cutting edge, even into the 80s, where in the 80s, it was, kind of passé. It was the language of yesteryear. But like so many times we have seen industries built on extremely old technology. Think of things like the Pentagon, banking, healthcare, a lot of the education system. A lot of this infrastructure was built up in the 80s because, hey, even COBOL was better than paper documents and, fax machines. So here we have it. They've just slowly been upgrading, and they never really got a complete overhaul like they deserved. And now here we are with COVID obviously spreading throughout the country. Now everything is starting to hinder on this old programming language because they're trying to retrofit antiquated government systems, and they're now struggling to process the deluge of unemployment claims brought by coronavirus. The states of Kansas, New Jersey, and Connecticut all experienced technical meltdowns after 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits. And Carissa, that's an interesting one because you never really think about it. Like, these systems are in place and they work well enough under normal circumstances. But obviously, if you had tens of thousands or even just in the low hundreds of thousands of people filing for unemployment, obviously something, really bad happened, and that's out of the ordinary. But now you have, like they said here, 6.6 million people filing for unemployment. That's going to stress systems that have never been stressed like that before. It's an angle I never really considered.
Yeah, it's true. I hadn't considered that either. And I mean, it would be a good push because this is only going to get worse before it gets better, right? If we're getting technical here, just in general. And this could very well happen again. So it might just be time to, I don't know, maybe partner with some companies and just kind of upgrade, same with the mail sorters and a lot of this other old technology too. It just might be time to upgrade it.
I'm sure that if they could, they absolutely would. And one example of that is now they're looking to replace these systems that are still running on COBOL. And it's funny because, you think about technology and everyone's hiring developers and programmers and what have you that know, let's say, the latest and greatest programming language that's just the fastest and it's better. But really, I mean, look at this job listing that the city of New York has, where they're looking for a COBOL program developer. This just happening a day ago, and they're paying $50 to $60 an hour. And let me tell you, that $50 to $60 an hour is a severe underpayment for the amount of people who do this work and the amount of people who are capable of doing this. That's like saying looking for a dinosaur, willing to pay chicken prices for a dinosaur. It's right. Not going to happen at 50, 60. Like, I've heard people paying hundreds an hour for contractor work in this field.
Wow. It's crazy.
It is. It pays to know language. And of course, like I said, if you're new and, you're looking for job experience, Carissa, you're probably going to learn about, Ruby on Rails or, even I was going to say C+ or something like that, but even that's old hat. You're looking for the latest stuff. Yeah, language, and no way you're going to go back and say, 40 years ago they were using this. I'm going to study this, which again is linked to this problem. So they said they searched for COBOL developer, returns about just under 600 jobs on Indeed.com, and COBOL developers make anywhere from $40 to $100 per hour. And let me tell you, even that's, I think, low because that's what people are asking. But if you can get in with these companies, they'll pay you more. Now, the truth is, organizations often hesitate to change these old systems. And here's, Carissa, why they aren't changing them explicitly: because they still work and migrating to new systems is expensive. Massive upgrades also include writing new code, which may contain bugs, and in the worst case scenario, bugs may cause loss of customer financial data being moved from the old system to the new. There are I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just feel like they'd still save money though. Like, even if they did switch over, there's a lot of stuff to consider. But in the long run, it would save them money, and then they would have the new technology anyway. So I think they're just being cheapskates.
I don't think many companies, and you know this as well as I do, I don't think many companies think about the long-term investments and long-term payoff, especially when they're looking for, how is our 3-month, how is our 6-month, how is our year fiscal report looking? Not many companies can say, oh, we're going to take especially in terms of, like, let's say the government of New Jersey, they're going to say, oh, we're going to take a $2 billion hit, doing this, and it'll take us years to recover the cost, but this will be on a platform that will serve us for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So even though it's like a 40-year investment, still, that's something that a lot of companies, countries, not countries, but counties and financial institutions, no one wants to eat that cost. No one wants that giant red blip on their financials.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's unfortunately, it really is a matter of cost. Now, to get into this, here's also why they haven't switched over, saying that it mostly still works. COBOL, even though it's ancient, and it is still considered stable and reliable. And they said that the current glitches with state unemployment problems are probably not a specific flaw to COBOL or in the underlying implementation. The problem is more that some states are asking the computer system to work with data on a far higher scale and making systems do things that they've never been asked to do. So, like I said, the system can probably handle tens of thousands of unemployment claims every single month in a normal situation. Perfectly, end of story, nothing wrong. But when you start asking it to do millions or hundreds of thousands in a week, that's when things, that's just... People thought that was unimaginable before the pandemic. So,
right
now
we didn't have this last pandemic, right? That was what
2011. I think there was a pandemic.
I'm thinking about the last big one, like 1912, like the Spanish kind of situation.
The Spanish flu, 1911 or something like that. Yeah,
right. We didn't even have computers back then, so like. Or the unemployment thing, I imagine.
No, but they still had signs saying, wear your mask, people. So, do that. Now, with that being said, they have a quote here. It was developed to do specific things like inventory, payroll, and accounts receivable. It was widely used in the 1960s, but a lot of banks and government agencies when they first started automating their systems. So like I said, this was the first of the first. This was something that companies put into place, and it did things way better than paper, pencil, letters, even faxes. This is something that, really automated things and did it really well. But now, well, actually, let me put one more number on this, Carissa, and then we'll move on to another topic. But just to put this into perspective, in 2017, Reuters reported 43% of banking systems still use COBOL. 43%, yes, of banking systems, and that means money transfers, accounts, and transferring money from one place to another, stocks, any kind of payment, any kind of everything financial. Half of it is still done on COBOL.
Wow. Well, I guess that makes sense then why they wouldn't want to put the effort in to change all of that, especially if it's not usually as stressed.
It would be billions of dollars investment for something that, like they said, works pretty good, except in extreme conditions. But I'm completely on board with you. We have seen so many industries say, this is just a cost that we don't want to, this is a cost that we don't want to take. But then we find out 10 years later that they're like, oh, well, it would have saved us X amount of money if we had just upgraded it and, made everything run faster, more efficient, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Unfortunately, and here's the real problem, Carissa, unfortunately, the people in charge of maintaining and upgrading the system are rarely the same people who are in charge of the money. They see it as a big expense and not necessary because, hey, it works good enough. So I hope that in my lifetime, COBOL goes away. But so far, if you used to work in COBOL and you know how it works, maybe brush up those skills and go find a job because you are definitely needed. So there you go. Okay, so there's that one. Let's go ahead and continue on here. I have a couple of stories here, but we're going to pick one from Carissa instead. And let's see, what is it? And the BBC, they don't number these things. Wow, I was not expecting this story. Good pick. So Carissa found this one. This is from BBC News. And it has to do with the upcoming election. In that, Carissa, do you remember in 2018 during the midterms, what did Twitter do about the 2018 midterms?
I don't remember, honestly.
Perfect. Good, because other people might not as well. During the 2018 midterms, Twitter paused all political advertising. And I think they might have done that in 2016, but definitely in 2018 as well.
I don't think they did it in 2016. There's no way.
Obviously with all the meddling, that definitely influenced Twitter as well. But 2018, definitely they stopped all political advertising. But of course, okay, actually, before we even do this article, this is the sticky part that happened in 2018. Carissa, so obviously, political advertising, like let's say you go to the advertising section of Facebook or Twitter and you say, here's my ad, here's my website, here's my donation link, because obviously most political advertising is looking for donations. Here's my donation link, and under category, they say, is this a product? Is this a service? Is this a nonprofit? Is this political? And you select political. Obviously, they're going to prevent you from making political ads. But here's where it gets kind of weird. Carissa, do you consider candidates and political figures having social media presences, where it's clearly branded as their political campaign? Do you consider that a form of political advertising because they have their political campaign on Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media?
I would say so. If they're obviously, if it's a paid ad, they usually tell you, oh, it's sponsored, it's promoted, it's this.
If
it's
it
that.
says, if the banner on the page says Bernie Sanders for president, and it's Bernie Sanders' face and Bernie Sanders' website link, and it's his page, he's not paying for anything. But wouldn't you consider that political advertising?
I would, and I wouldn't say he's not paying for anything because he has to pay the people to run the social media thing because his old ass is certainly not doing it.
First of all, can't say that. Second of all, but second of all, you're kind of right. But the bigger part is with advertising. Obviously the one that you're paying to advertise for you, they are the ones to kind of take the repercussions onto themselves. So Facebook and Twitter, because they are selling the ad space, they are responsible for what ads get played. That's just the way it is because, again, it's their ad space. Right. So it's just like on cable news, whatever cable news puts on their news station, they are responsible for that. It's not the content providers who are responsible for that. Anyways, you can cancel political advertising saying, I want to advertise my political campaign to these people, but social media is intrinsically tied to these political events. Everyone has a Facebook page. Everyone has something that you can like, you can share, you can retweet, you can interact it with some way. So when Facebook says here with this article, and then we'll get into the article, I promise, but when they say Facebook to freeze political ads before U.S. presidential election, Carissa, do you think that means they are going to delete and ban all hashtags, Facebook pages, everything to do with politics? Because I think that's impossible.
I think it's possible, but I don't think they're going to go that far because the people on the back end still have their own preferences, and they obviously want those to still be displayed as much as possible, even if these things are happening. So I think what's more likely is going to happen is you're going to stop seeing the in-your-face ads, like, when YouTube pauses and it shoves Donald Trump in your face. You're not going to see that anymore, for example. But the page is still going to be there. I think all of their hashtags are still going to be there. They're just going to kind of keep them from showing up within your feed. Right. Is what I think is going to happen.
Very, very possible. So let's
find them if you're looking for them, but they're not going to push them on you.
I think that they're going to, and we'll go over the article, but before we read this, I would say that my educated guess is that they are going to ban anything popping up in like the ad section of Facebook, like everything in the content section. Probably fair game. If your friend shares a post from Donald Trump or Joe Biden, that will still pop up. They're not going to block anything like that. But anything in the ad section, all that will be, non-political. It's a step in the right direction. It's obviously not a complete solution, but it's a step in the right direction. So let's talk about this real quick. Facebook has announced that it will not take any new political ads in the 7 days prior. So this is just a week. This isn't even, it's not like, I think Twitter said in like the coming 3 months, like they put a stop on 3 months. They're doing it for 7 days. However, the firm will still allow existing ads to continue to be promoted and targeted at different users. So I guess what he's really saying there is that you can get your political ads in, just make sure that you schedule them the week before because no new ads, but you can continue campaigns to do this. Boy, that's going to have little to no effect on political advertising.
Also wonder if you can get around that too. Like, let's say you go through and you pick your, your topic. You can be like, oh, it's not a political ad, but it is a political ad, So maybe it like skims through in that way, unless there's some kind of
I would
AI
say that
watching that.
I would say that the FTC, because that falls under the Federal Trade Commission, and there are very specific laws when it comes to political advertising that you have to say that it is a political ad. You have to say who funded it. You have to say who is it for, all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of protections, but hey, companies, kind of come up and go away every time. You're right. It will definitely be circumvented. Whether or not they can trace it back to an individual, who knows, but it will definitely be circumvented. You're right. Now, the social network has faced criticism for allowing political ads to be micro-targeted on its platform, so they are only seen by small communities rather than debated more widely in the days after they appear. The Mozilla Foundation has claimed that this makes it easier for politicians and their supporters to parade fiction as fact and avoid being called out until it's too late, particularly as Facebook has previously said ads placed candidates would not fact check. So they're right there, and that's something that's a topic of conversation we run into all the time, where not just Facebook, but social media in general, they want to serve you content that you are more likely to interact with, be that comment on, like, share, retweet, whatever. They want to make sure that you are interacting and looking at the content. So if they know that Carissa is all about axolotls, that is her thing, man. they will not give her pictures of Galapagos tortoises. It will only be axolotls, and it will micro target her to really push that page. But of course, that means that if there's a group of people who are adamantly opposed to axolotls and everything they exist for, the odds.
Bogus.
Well, hey, look, I'm just saying, the odds of you two meeting on the same post in any means is very, very slim, because the person who does not like it will never be served that post, that ad. They will never randomly come across it. Whereas you, Carissa, you have a almost 100% chance to be served that post. And that lack of discussion, that lack of an open forum, it makes people think that there's an open dialogue that the country is having and it's very pro-axolotl. But in reality, it's just you and your clique are being served these ads, and it's very segmented from other opposing ideas. That's the problem social media is having right now. And really, the negative effect it's had on the discourse in this country.
Right. I hadn't even considered like macro targeting, micro targeting, things like that, because it's just not something you think about. You're getting targeted, but I'd never even considered it being like it's completely just catering to whatever it is that you are, into.
As time goes on, you will be less like, let's say you really hate garlic, and you will be served less and less garlic. You'll be served less and less Galapagos tortoises. You'll be served less and less meteorites containing iron. I'm just thinking of random stuff here. I'm just saying that eventually your Facebook environment, like the pages you stumble across, the things that are recommended to you, everything is catered to a very different person, as opposed to even your best friend who has completely opposing ideas of what minerals should be contained in meteorites. And you think that no one has this idea, but again, there's not that open discussion that happens, and it's a very dangerous thing for politics, as we've seen over the past 10 years. I would say that social media is probably the leading cause of this. Again, a small step, like, oh my God, the smallest baby Zuckerberg step I have ever seen in canceling this. The headline makes it seem much more impressive, which is why when I opened it, if you're watching the video portion, my eyes kind of widened a little bit, but it's so small now that I see why they're doing it. The headline looks much better than what the article actually says.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they're going to have to put new things in place for social media going forward, just for this kind of stuff, especially with all the tampering and just how things are. Somebody's going to have to do something. We're going to need laws for this, like, sooner than later.
Yeah, and really, even back in the 2016 with the Russian meddling, micro targeting, which we're just talking about all the time, Carissa, that was the election interference. Was the fact? Was it? Essentially, they checked. They paid Facebook the appropriate amount of money, and they were pushing ads that Hillary Clinton keeps kids in basements of pizza parlors, and then in the who do you want to see this ad? They went the over 65, living in these states, have these political leanings, and they're able to drill down further and further and further until they know that the only people who are going to see these ads are people who are going to believe it. And that's
so impressive.
So that was the meddling. The meddling was that type of micro-targeting, and Zuckerberg thinks that he can stop this by stopping new campaigns 7 days before the election.
No, he's wrong.
I really do think he's wrong as well. So anyways, Facebook has announced, so here are the 4 things. No new political ads will be accepted in the week before the election. Posts claiming that people will get COVID-19 if they take part in the vote will be removed. Information labels will be attached to posts seeking to delegitimize the outcome of the election. So that one is like, Biden has no chance of winning. Things like that will be removed immediately. And then the last one will be labels will also be added to posts by candidates that seek to claim victory before the final results are in, which is, a week before the election. If, let's say if Trump claims that, polls show that he's going to win by a landslide, that's going to be removed as well. So
that's part
of
the bigger problem too, is like they're not removing it from people's pages. They're only removing it from the ads. So again,
right.
Your best friend could post something and it still is out there. So like what they should be doing is removing that from everyone. They should just be searching profiles for that.
Which is why I said at the beginning, are they going to remove these campaign Facebook pages? Are they going to remove hashtags so people can't search for these things? Are they going to remove pictures? Again, tiny baby step, a baby in a wheelchair baby step. I don't know what to tell you. It's tiny. So with that being said, let's wrap this up. The chief of Media Matters for America, a liberal media monitoring body, described it as being a pointless PR stunt. Again, this is directly from the article, saying that they will still let political ads be rerun and targeted to new groups during the last week, so long as the ad was run and had one impression before the 27th of October. So you can run a bad ad now, pause it, and then reuse it that week. Like I said earlier, it's not going to be hard to get around this thing. Okay, that's the end of that. But election not saved thanks to Facebook. They tried not very hard, but there you go. Carissa, you sent me a couple. Did you have I'm sorry. Did you have a comment on the story, or did you have the next story?
Let's do this one. It's a little bit different. It's the last one I sent.
Sure. Vivo, and right here. Again, if you're watching the video portion, you can see the articles as we kind of go through them. Highly recommend it, twitch.tv/Computer America. But here we go. This is from The Verge and Cameron Faulkner saying that Vivo is making a phone that has color-changing rear glass.
Cool.
And okay, so we're going to put the video up. Obviously, I think the video is going to say 1,000 things. Just from my immediate reaction, the color changing glass, it almost looks like a two-tone effect, like car wrap, or like some kind of like metallic, obviously metal, that has like a sheen to it. But yeah, it's not just that. You can set the color because it is color changing glass. So looks very cool. I definitely like it. Now, let's talk about how this happens. They say that it uses electrochromic glass to achieve the effect. And Vivo is developing one of the coolest looking phones that this author has ever seen. They said that in a video posted to Weibo, the company confirms that its new phone, which doesn't yet have a name, can change its rear case color with the press of a button. My immediate reaction is, how would I ever know? I always have my phone in a case. I don't know. I don't know about you, Carissa, but I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see the back very often. I do have mine in a case, but I'm also considering different uses for this. Like I'm thinking like cover your car in this stuff, and then you can change the color of your car, you know? So I feel like there's a lot more, you know, potential with this than even just...
My immediate reaction, and, you know, just sticking to the use case of phones, if I had something like this and it had applications, which we'll talk about, you know, some of the possible ones, but just get a clear case, and then you can see the color changing in the back. Right. And then if the entire back, let's say if you got a text message, and you could set it to flash from blue to green, and, you know, and then the back of your phone, even if it's sitting face down, you'd be able to tell something is happening, you know, on your phone just by seeing the colors, stuff like that. Obviously, very cool. Now, the company claims to be using Electrochromic Glass to achieve the dazzling effect, the same tech that OnePlus employed in its Concept One phone to obscure its rear camera from view when it wasn't being used. I remember that. That thing was so cool. So in OnePlus's proof of concept shown at CES 2020, and by the way, after being at CES, I was there at that CES, and there's so much going on. You miss so much. I didn't get to see this in person at all. But yeah, it's very, very cool. And let's see, I think there's a picture of it here where the OnePlus and the camera disappears when you're not. Yeah, so it goes from like kind of like a black finish to obviously you can see the cameras. So yeah, very cool. Oh, is that the wind? That would explain it. Anyways, the company claims to be blah, blah, proof of concept. Vivo's implementation takes it further by using the tech to change the color of the phone's glass rear, which is an even more fun party trick, which you can see that's here in even another example. Yep, turn that off. So, and you can see a gentleman there actually using it in real time and what that will look like when he actually changes it. He said that he was stunned by the iridescent finish, and granted, when the phone oscillates between the same color whenever a button on its side is pushed, they said that it looks super, super cool. Now, if you can't get enough of seeing the phone, there's another video that shows off the color on Weibo. And with that being said, hopefully we'll hear something about when this phone will be released. But as far as turning the back of the phone into, you know, because the back of phones have always been very uninteresting, and I think this could change that. I don't think I would buy a phone strictly for this, but I would love it if my phone had this.
I hope it's a good phone, because like I don't know if if I've ever heard of Vivo making phones before. So I'm kind of curious to see kind of what it's about too.
Yeah, I you know, they're not the most well established phone company. I think if I recall, they do a lot of proof of concept that is then copyrighted, and then other phone companies kind of pick it up and use the technology that they first implemented. So there you go. Okay, so there's that story. Our next story, the show's already half over. Where did it all go? This next story, I think we're going to do... How about this one? This is interesting. Interesting, I should say. Engadget, Harvard. Check this one out. Harvard created a wool as in sheep. I don't have a sheep sound effect, but a wool-like printable material that can shapeshift. And yeah, they said they can reduce waste in the fashion industry. So let's see what this does. What if you could, here we go. What if you could have gym clothes that could automatically open cooling vents whenever you work up a sweat and close when you're dry? Well, you might be able to get your hands on gear that does just that in the future, and it could use material developed by research at Harvard, saying that the team over from the C's department created a 3D printable material that can be pre-programmed with reversible shape memory. The wool-like material can remember old forms and morph back into those, or transform into different shapes when a certain stimulus is applied. Usually that would mean some kind of battery and then electrical current. So that would be, the material would go from one form to another. You know, it's not really expanding or contracting. It's just kind of reshaping itself. Now, they said that it's made using keratin extracted from recycled wool. Keratin is a fibrous protein that's found, of course, in your hair and nails, and it has a habit of returning to its original form. The researchers shaped a single chain of keratin into a spring-like structure, and twisted two of those together and made a coiled coil to assemble large fibers. When a stimulus is applied to the material or stretched out, those structures uncoil and the bonds realign. The material stays that way until it is triggered to return to its normal state, which is programmed with a solution of hydrogen peroxide and monosodium phosphate. Strange. Now, let's go ahead and talk about, a quote here saying that this two-step process of 3D printing the material and then setting its permanent shapes allows for the fabrication of real complex shapes with structural features down to the micron level. This makes the material suitable for a vast range of applications, from textiles to tissue engineering. I could see this being very useful for a lot of things, but I don't know, one of the immediate ones is for hospitals and being able to implement my immediate mind goes to valves. And Chris, I don't know if you have seen anyone treated for cancer recently. Actually, I do know that you have, but they put valves into people so that when they put the medication and the drugs and the treatment for the radiation treatment, they have these valves that they put into their chest more often than not. And I'm thinking if they could have some kind of material that they didn't have to take out, puncture, if they could just kind of turn it on and off and have it change shape to better accommodate, that might be a better solution. I don't know. I'm trying to think of good uses for something like this.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty good one. And then you could probably even use it, if it can contract and expand, as long as it's within the certain parameters, you can, for example, let's say you've got, this is probably far-fetched, an airplane who you have to fit in somewhere small, and you can kind of contract the wings in to make it fit into smaller space or something like that.
Maybe not airplanes, but actually that would be very cool. I don't know if you've ever seen squirrel suits, but maybe squirrel suits that would let you change the shape of the fabric of the wings, or change the shape of the fabric of the parachute, and being able to go from one to the other, kind of pretty quickly. Maybe something like that would be very, very useful. I don't know.
You could probably simulate flying that way too if you did it in a certain way.
Yeah, it's luckily it's not up to us to figure out how to use it. It's up to the researchers on how to make it, and then it's everyone else's job to figure out, hey, what is this best used for? So
still pretty cool.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and continue on here, and let's talk about. Let's see. Okay. Man, there's so many different stories. Okay, let's pull one that you sent earlier. Real quick, we'll mention the right to repair. For anyone who doesn't know what the right to repair is, the right to repair is the ability to work on products, be it software, hardware, even if it's under copyright, even if it's under proprietary use or whatever. The right to repair means you can fix anything that you want. If you buy a car and the car's brain, its chip, is still under patent by, let's say you bought it from Ford. If Ford still owns the rights and they own the software, they own all of the codes and all that kind of thing, and they said, no, you are not allowed to change anything software-wise because that is our intellectual property and you don't have the right to work on that. Whereas the right to repair says, well, I own this car, therefore I can do anything I want to fix it because it's my car. Carissa, do you see how this argument always boils down to consumer rights versus corporate intellectual property rights?
Right, and I see both perspectives. Personally, I think if you purchase it, it's yours and you should be able to do it. But I understand why companies do put holds on things like that.
And let me throw in one more thing. It gets a little bit more complicated when, let's say, John Deere is usually the company that comes up a lot. And there's Apple and John Deere are two of the main opponents to the right to repair. But John Deere, because these tractors can exist for 20, 30 years, and even tractors sold 10 years ago, they have software that helps to, line up with GPS. You can set up their track. They can go automatically and harvest a field. John Deere tractors are as much software as they are hardware. Very, very sophisticated. And here's the thing. Even though John Deere will fix them for you, but you have to pay them, in some cases, $30,000 to $40,000 to rewrite the entire operating system, and they charge for new updates and things like that. Whereas if you could download an open source, and we saw this, tractor owners were downloading an open source version of the operating system for the tractor and fixing it for free, as opposed to paying these outrageous service fees that the companies were using. And again, John Deere was saying, that's our intellectual property. You may own the tractor, but you don't own the software that the tractor is running. You're not allowed to do that. Whereas the farmers are saying, it's our tractor and we're going to fix it any way that we can. And your way is much too expensive, so we're going to fix it for free. So that's where the right to repair is. And again, this article that you have here, which, by the way, great seeing my hometown of Palm Beach County, Florida, being on this list with 68,000 devices ordered for the summer of 2020, and they have delays expected until actually this month. It really goes to show that these schools all over the country are ordering, in some cases, 80,000, 70,000, 35,000, 20,000, 100,000 in some cases. They're ordering massive amounts of computers, and obviously if you had to put a brand new off the assembly line computer into every kid's hands, that would not only cost a fortune, but it's also just not possible. There aren't that many laptops being made currently. You are going to have to start using old laptops. Now, enter the right to repair. It can actually help being able to work on any system, any computer, and put in anything that you want, essentially be able to repair it, keeps them out of the landfill, and potentially solves one of these kids' problems in getting a computer for the school year. Certainly helps. They said that they meet a critical need, and they even have a tweet from a gentleman here saying that certainly there are 5 million activation-locked iPads sitting on recyclers right now about to be scrapped. Unlocking and rescuing those would sure be a good starting point. I'm picking up 550 tomorrow, so I'll post the pictures. It's there's so many computers that Apple, in particular, because Apple runs a very closed ecosystem, they don't want other people to change the hardware, change the software, refurbish them, make them faster, whatever. And you could say that it cuts into their bottom line. Apple says that they don't do it because it would compromise their security, and it would compromise their entire ecosystem by allowing older devices to be refurbished. But man, it would be nice if we could save some of these computers, like they're saying, instead of having to buy brand new every single time.
It's part of a bigger problem, though, because, for example, was it American Eagle? It was some clothing company that was doing it. Like, rather than, donating their clothes to Goodwill or whatever it was, they would burn it because they only wanted certain people to have these products. So, like, it makes sense that Apple would do something like that. I feel like they're one of those companies where they're like, oh, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't have it, that kind of thing.
They're not that bourgeoisie, but they are. I'm sure that they know that their products are a status symbol. So, don't get me wrong, that's a nice side effect. Their claim has always been, and I can only say that they do this because of what they claim to do it for. If you buy an old iPad and you wanted to swap out the components, then they have to let that happen in the OS. And if they let that happen in the OS, then let's say your fingerprint reader, then they would have to allow a third-party fingerprint reader on new devices. And if they do that, then people could take the fingerprint reader out of your current iPad, put in the third-party one, and then use it to hack into your current gen iPad. They say it's for security. I think that's complete bull honky, but yeah, that's what they say.
Like, what are the odds that somebody's going to do that? Yeah, I guess if you're a quadrillionaire or something, like if you're Jeff Bezos and you leave your laptop somewhere, maybe somebody would want to get your laptop, but most people are not going to have their laptops yanked like that and then ripped and then reinstalled. Like that.
It seems like a lot of work to get into it. Yeah.
But who knows?
So there's that. And then, of course, they say that reuse helps meet some shortfalls. Like we said, they had a number up here saying that about 48 million laptops and 17 million desktops were ordered in 2019. That's right, almost over a combined 60 million computers were shipped in 2019 alone. And of course, that has been fairly consistent over the past 10 years. So you're looking at, what is that, 600 million devices, over 600 million devices being shipped to US all over the place. And hey, that's a demand that needs solving. So let's see, reuse meets shortfall, blah, blah, blah. Definitely do that. And of course, refurbishing also is cheaper than buying new. So it solve some of that problem as well. And now right to repair reforms would lower the barriers for critical computer refurbishing. They're saying that many usable computers are sitting in corporate overstock or empty offices, and perhaps even in your basement, but even when refurbishers get those computers, they can't get them working because manufacturers restrict access to spare parts or manuals. Lagrange and other refurbishers describe bins of activation locked devices in their facility, devices that work absolutely fine, but are locked down to the original owner because they forgot to unlock their account when they donated it or sold it. We've had a lot more computers available if the industry as a whole valued reuse and second life of electronics as opposed to just dumping them and throwing them away. So I don't know about most people out there. I know that whenever we here at Computer America donate or get rid of any of our secondhand electronics, I know that some people destroy hard drives and, put a screw through them and, whatever. But we usually set everything back to factory settings, and there are special software that you can use to make sure that any information is completely wiped off of a hard drive, because if you delete it, it's not really deleted. So make sure you actually clean hard drives. But Carissa, we're pretty much used to setting everything back to factory settings before we get rid of anything.
Yeah, we do that too, but I'm also thinking about it now. I wonder how this fits in with like Ubuntu, for example. Like, Linux? Yeah, the computer's locked and all that stuff, but if you put Linux on it, obviously you've kind of taken over some of that control. So what is that? Where does that fit into this whole thing?
I think what they're saying here is that these computers that are perfectly fine, perfectly usable, they still want the active version of Windows. Imagine if it's a current version of Windows 10, they still want Windows 10 on that computer to give to the next person because, not everyone wants a Linux computer. That's hard for people who like Linux to come to terms with. But yeah, Windows 10 is just a lot more convenient for a lot of people out there. Sure, they could wipe them completely and put a completely different operating system on there, but they would prefer to keep them Windows 10. And if they just unlocked the devices before they donated them, they could do that. So,
I see.
Yeah. Trust me, the Linux community, they are probably the number one advocates and really the number one source of reusable computer components and parts and systems and refurbishing. The Linux community is at the forefront of all of that stuff, and they should definitely be applauded. But replacing everything that isn't immediately usable, I think that society as a whole would be better served if we could refurbish Windows computers to be Windows computers as opposed to just recycling them to be Linux computers. You know what I mean? If Microsoft said it's okay to keep using this operating system, I think that'd be better for everyone.
Yeah, and I guess it makes sense because then it's like, okay, there's a lot of programs, let's say, you might not be able to run on Linux.
Yeah.
You might need for that anyway, so I guess that's fair.
Yeah, it would just be better if companies like Microsoft and Apple and a lot of these tech companies allowed you, said once you own this computer, you own everything about it, and you don't have to worry about, kind of further intervention from us. But hey, it makes them a lot of money. It really does make them a lot of money for continuing support, product support, services that they charge for these kinds of things. It all comes down to money every single time. So that's technology for you. Very good article. I like that for sure. Let's talk about not WeChat though. Let's talk about probably not this one either. Yeah. Let's see. I had one here. There's a long article here, Carissa. It is. I'm gonna send you on a task. I'm gonna do one more story. I want you to find the most fun, enlightening, heartwarming story that you possibly can that has tech involved. Because it's Friday and I want people to end on a high note. But we're going to do one more story while you look for that. And then we're going to go ahead and do the Carissa special heartwarming story before we say goodbye for the weekend. Now, everyone, this next story, not heartwarming, but hey, maybe glute warming. And by that, I mean this article from Engadget saying that Peloton, hugely popular. If you haven't heard about them, you probably haven't been on Instagram. Peloton is everywhere, and it's all about treadmills, losing weight. Essentially, someone stuck a TV onto a treadmill and doubled the price. It was a beautiful marketing move. Now, check this out. Peloton's next treadmill may cost less than $3,000. Still expensive, but cheaper. Peloton is planning to launch a cheaper treadmill and slash the price of its existing bike. They said that the new treadmill will cost less than $3,000, which is a significant drop from the current $4,295 model. Peloton will reportedly offer its existing $2,245 bike for less than $1,900. There you go. So price cuts all around if you're looking. Obviously, this is something that they're positioning for the holidays, obviously. According to Bluebird, the new treadmill called the Tread will use a belt design similar to other treadmills. Peloton's existing treadmill, which is a slat design, will be renamed Tread Plus, and the company will also release new premium stationary bikes called Bike Plus. Wow, whoever came up with these names, they must have spent minutes coming up with them. I don't know what to tell you. Now, which will likely cost more than Peloton's existing bike at its current price. The company is bringing a more adjustable tablet screen to its new products, Tread and Bike Plus. That should allow users to do more workouts near their machine, not just on it. And since the pandemic began, the Peloton Home Fitness app has landed more streaming devices, including Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku. And instructors have been live streaming classes from their own homes. So they're facing more and more competition, but Peloton, they are one of the leading home fitness and mobile fitness applications out there. And I actually downloaded their app, did not join any of the classes, but I gotta say, if you're stuck at home and you still want to work out and you need that motivation of like a kind of like a social motivation, then personally, I don't. I turn something on TV and kind of only do the elliptical at 50%. But if you need that trainer saying go, 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 I think Peloton is one of the best out there. So, Carissa, are you ready, or should I do another story?
I've got one. It's kind of weak, but I got it.
All right. We'll take kind of weak because it is the end of the week, so we'll take kind of weak. What do you got?
There you go.
Good enough. This is for everyone out there who was a fan of Super Mario, which, trick question, you all are. And if you aren't, you didn't even know. So Super Mario 3D World is coming to the Nintendo Switch. The Switch just keeps getting better. And, Nintendo, they have so many classic games, so many classic titles. I wish that they updated them obviously, you know this better than I would, Carissa. Nintendo Switch has like an app store, right? Like they have like a digital marketplace, correct?
Yeah.
Is that only for like in-game goods, or is that for games itself? I'm sorry.
It's for games itself.
Okay.
You can download them straight to your Switch.
Yeah. So they have the marketplace. I wish that they ported existing or, kind of older titles back into the current Switch. And I know that would be almost like having to reprogram the entire game from scratch and then offering it. But looks like they're going to start doing that. Here's this one. Super Mario 3D World and a ton of other classic Mario games are coming to the Nintendo Switch, saying that it's a 35th birthday. I was about to say anniversary. It's a Mario's, and that's how they wrote it. It's a Mario's 35th birthday, and Nintendo is celebrating its classic Little Italian Plumber with several new Switch titles, including some remastered beloved classics. On Thursday morning, so this happened yesterday, Nintendo's unveiled a flurry of new to Switch Mario-centered games to be launched in the next month, including the original Super Mario. So this is the 35th anniversary of Super Mario. There you go.
Awesome.
The new titles are a mix of the old and the new, tapping into nostalgia and revamping the classics, saying that we are making this significant milestone a wide variety of games and experiences that all generations of Mario fans will enjoy. So there you go. Let's see. So in the nostalgia camp, Super Mario 3D All-Star, Super Mario 64, never played, but I always wanted to, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, with graphics enhanced for the Switch console, a reboot of the original Super Mario All-Stars, a 1993 compilation, the first few Mario games, Super Mario All-Stars, that's the one that I played. So that includes Super Mario 1, 2, 3, and a couple of others. So that will have the original Mario as well. All of that with improved 16-bit graphics. So no more 8-bit. We're looking at 16-bit. Other nostalgic gaming experiences coming to the Switch with a modern spin include Super Mario Bros. 35, which sounds like a Fortnite-like battle royale to be the last Mario standing, but with retro graphics. It too is a limited time game available from October 1st to March 31st for the Nintendo Online subscribers only. That's right, they turned Mario into a battle royale. It's what it needed, I think, Carissa.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really interested to see how the graphics do turn out for a lot of these revamps. Because I remember playing, I think it was just Super Mario on the Super Nintendo, with my mom and my nephew and stuff. Like you play Zelda: Link to the Past, Super Mario,
Centipede, Galaga,
Dr. Mario, all that stuff. So I remember playing that. So it'd be really interesting to see how it comes out on the Switch.
And the Switch
64, because I know you didn't play it, but it was something.
It looked like so much fun. I just never got it. But
graphics were so cool for that time.
Yeah, they were definitely something else. Though I got to say that we have picked on the Switch a little bit for its hardware. The hardware wasn't really that good, and isn't really on par with, let's say, a PlayStation or an Xbox. But the Nintendo Switch and the graphics that it does offer, they're really good. Nintendo is definitely squeezing all of the hardware that they can out of this. The games look good, so I think you're right. Even the refurbished games are going to look really good. So they said that, wait, we should talk about this. Also among the new releases is a spin on a favorite title, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, coming October 16th for $100. And for the cart and gates, they said that the game itself is a free download, so I guess $100 for cosmetics, I don't know. Combines augmented reality with remote control cars, and it will let people set up races in their home, so you can obviously, yeah. So that you can take video of your own or map out your own home, and then you can race Mario Kart through it. So pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Obviously a security nightmare, but let's not talk about that. The Nintendo Switch console becomes a controller for a real-life toy car that has built-in camera to see its surroundings. As we just said, you put toy gates. Oh, okay. So that's why it's $100. That's what you actually get, a toy car, a physical toy car, and little toy gates, and then you set them up around your home, and then you race the physical car around your home. And you see it up on the screen, and then, of course, other people can virtually tune in and race in your home as well. Oh,
that's cool. I love that. That's going to be so much fun.
That's definitely going to be weird. So Nintendo is also using Mario's anniversary as an opportunity to sell more retail merchandise, including things like Monopoly, Puma, Jenga, Lego, and more, all of them having Mario-themed products. It will also hold several fan events in September and beyond, including special guests and courses and select titles. I got to say, this is where being in Japan is one of those benefits that I guess as an American you really don't get. When they say those special events, I keep hearing about like Pokemon in particular, especially things like Pokemon Go. I know that they have special events in the US, but being in Japan, you can get special Pokemon in Pokemon Go. If you go to these events for like the regular Pokemon games, you can get like, you get like a little chip, or like you connect via network and you download like Celebi and Mew and stuff like that. You get things that you can only get at these special events, and they're super cool. So I'm glad to hear that they're continuing it.
Yeah, they used to do them a lot when I was younger. I remember I used to fight in the Pokemon League over at Books A Million.
The only thing I ever did was the movie, and you got like those thick plastic gold, cards when you went to the movie theaters. That's
they'd
the only thing
also
I
give
did.
you like promo cards and sometimes like little pins and stuff. But yeah, at the tournaments, you'd be able to win cards. You'd be able to win, tokens and prizes and all kinds of stuff. You'd be able to win, and then of course you could bring your cord with your Game Boy and then trade with your friend. Fight with all your people around the game too. So that was a lot of fun.
Your Battle Link, yes, of course.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Nintendo, as far as all the video game companies are concerned, Nintendo has the most fun. PlayStation, Xbox, they're very serious. They have serious titles. But man, Nintendo has fun with it, and we always love that. So speaking of having fun with it, everyone out there, I hope that you have fun with the weekend as well. Once again, Computer America will be back Tuesday. No show on Monday, but then we'll be back all week, Tuesday through Friday. Carissa, I hope you have fun. And thank you so much for being here, of course. And we'll catch you next week. So everyone, Carissa, and everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back then. Bye, everyone.
See you later.